I failed as a footballer, and so do 99.9% of people. The difference is I got a podcast out of it. I guess my opinions are still valid then. Who knows? This is the Failed Footballer Podcast, your shortcut to everything and anything you need to know about the 2026 World Cup. Coming up on today's show, the Socceroos did it. They are through. They will face Egypt, Iran, New Zealand, or Belgium in the round of 32. We have to wait and see what happens tomorrow. We're going to go through their analysis, the Paraguay game, some positives, some negatives, some work to do. Popovic obviously learned from that USA game and he put his best starting 11 out there. They did look convincing in some parts they didn't. Jordi Boss, though, looked so good. His stock is definitely rising. Are the Socceroos good enough to beat teams they'll play in the next round? We'll see. Not so sure. Make sure you stick around. Okay, now I did say last game, and I stand by that Irankunda has to start, and he did start. He didn't have his best game. You know, I think I'm not trying to make excuses for the lad, not trying to make excuses for the player, but you played him in a false nine, and he needed to be that kind of hold-up striker. I don't think he's, look at him. He's below 6 foot. He's short. He's stocky. His first touch was decent, but he wasn't holding the ball up, and that's not what he's used to. That's not his role. He's used to playing in behind. If you look at the Turkey game, first goal, where did it come from? Jordi Boss clips him in the channels. He's off. He's gone. You needed him in those channels, running in behind, which was hard. I do understand it was hard because Paraguay were playing a low block. I just don't think like he was utilised the best. Maybe this game, I was even wondering, some of the balls that were being whipped in the box this game, I was like, you know who that would have been perfect for? Torre or Yengi, who crashed the box, who are used to crashing that box. Irankunda kind of wanted it to feet, wanted it in different positions that he wasn't getting, all right? Now, who did have a great game on the other hand? Jordi Boss. I reckon his stock has gone through the roof. I mean, I won't be surprised if the Premier League clubs crawling about for him after that performance. He was outstanding. Reminded me of a young Gareth Bale. I don't want to go too far, Aussies. I don't want to gas you up too much, but I saw a young Bale in there. The way he was pushing it forward, just tapping it around players and running, winning fouls. I don't think he lost the ball once. He's playing wing-back at the moment. I want to see him playing in an even more attacking role. I just want to see him going forward and not even have to worry about the defensive duties because he's so good going forward. Now, Volpato coming off, I hear it, I see what he was trying to do, but Hirosic, I didn't see much from him when he was on. I would have rather Volpato stayed off because he's trying things. Popovic did sort out his tactics. We asked him and he tweaked a few things. We'll talk more in depth when we speak to our man, John Bric, who's in San Fran watching the game. John, thanks for joining us again. You're just down there, just finished the game in San Francisco. Again, I got to ask you, I asked you every game. Atmosphere, I've seen the clips already. How was it?
Mate, absolutely electric. I'll tell you what, this is probably the biggest crowd I've seen of Australians walking down the street. Every week they're doing this march where they get together before the game about 3 hours and march to the stadium. Now, the first two games, they were at pubs. This one was in an empty car park. But the phenomenal sight of just all these Australians crammed into the street, making their way to the stadium was a sight to be seen. And we played America last week. They were completely outnumbering us. This was just a great party vibe. The Paraguayan, South American side, they love to party. They get the music out. It was just a great vibe of football.
Yeah, I saw the chants and stuff, and I think beating the drums and all that looked absolutely, unbelievable. Definitely an experience that you take with you with the rest of your life. Now let's go on to the game. How was it there? Your thoughts. So I want to start with the performances, all right? We'll go on to the results and where Australia may or may not go in the round of 32. But performances first from the jump. Who stood out to you?
Look, the person that stood out for me was actually Jackson Irvine. I mean, I know he obviously was benched last week against America, but I just thought his performance was really strong all round. I mean, Chokati's been impressive once again. I think overall the team was just a solid performance. I was really impressed with just the way we defended very well. There was no leakage on that right or left wing like there was against America. And while we didn't look as potent moving forward as we did in that first week, I mean, I felt that Irankunda was probably a little bit below par today. Jordi Boss, though, sorry, I mean, you mentioned before, just the chances that Jordi Boss created today were phenomenal.
They were. And like you said about Irvine, what I noticed about Irvine was he was, I saw him before, and this is one of the performances that I'm like, okay, I know, he's going to cover every single blade of grass when he plays, right? That's just a given for Irvine. But what I saw in this game was him linking the play between Velpato, Irankunda, and even Boss. When in the first half, when they allowed him to get that space in those little pockets, which I really, really like. I think he had the shot in the first half as well. So he was, outstanding performance for me. I think in the second half, he wasn't allowed to do that as much, so the chances didn't come as much. But again, Boss, I think from this performance, he's going to be on the radar. We as Aussies, as people that live in Australia, we've all known about him for ages. The same I say about Irankunda. But I think this performance could have put him on the radar of some Premier League clubs, because I said it before in my intro, I said, he reminded me a little bit of a Gareth Bale, the way he was going forward. It was, it was heavy strides, quick on the ball, on the wing, can come. He was playing on the right-hand side, and he looked so comfortable, cutting in on his left, like so comfortable.
Yeah, and as you mentioned, it's not his preferred side. So the way he cut in, look, probably didn't finish his opportunities. I know there was a few chances there. He sort of did all the hard yards, and right when the strike had to be perfect, he failed. When I say he failed, he fluffed it a little bit. So look, his finishing wasn't as great as the rest of his game was, but that's being hypercritical. I mean, look, you said a couple of those chances to go the way that we want him to go, and it's a different story. But yeah, look, ultra impressive with him. Harrington as well, Olin, I just think that it's his first start this tournament. I just thought he was just so solid on that right defensive side there or the left defensive side for the start of the game. And I just think that he was a great addition to the side. I mean, a lot of people would say that Paul Ocon probably should have been there, but I just think that Harrington earned his spot today at least.
Definitely, and then there's a reason why Harrington's on the radar for clubs like Barcelona, and he's played every single game in the MLS this season for Rapids, and you could see that experience. He was dealing with those awkward balls. He looked good under pressure, can play at the back. Also, I believe he's a right footer, playing on the left hand, on the left side as a centre back. That's not easy to do as well. And his first performance in the World Cup, I really, really, really liked it. I think he's going to have a huge future ahead of him for the Socceroos and become, a staple in the side. What did you make of we touched on Irankunda a little bit. I kind of felt that it was just hard. He's not a number 9 sort of hold-up striker, is he? He's an in behind, kind of get him in front of players, beat him 1v1. I just think maybe this was the game where we actually wanted Toure there, but Irankunda somewhere else. It's like, how do you fit them all in?
I mean, you mentioned it last week. You said that you wanted to see, and I was agreeing with you, Mo Toure, Velpato, Irankunda, Metcalf, all up in that attacking front. And obviously something had to give. And today it was Mo Toure. Now, I totally agree with you. I feel that Irankunda is probably at his best when you've got Mo Toure there to create some dynamic where the defenders don't know which way to go. Today it was all a little bit predictable. Plus, I feel that Australia probably came into this game with a defensive mindset. And maybe that was why there wasn't as many chances. I mean, of course, Paraguay was defensive as well. So, look, you summed it up right there. Maybe he needs Mo Toure there. Maybe it's just not the game for him against Paraguay. We'll find out next week, I suppose.
Yeah, we will. And lastly, Velpato, how did you make of him? I think in the first half, great performance in the first half. I thought he was terrific in the first half. Again, he's trying things. He's trying to get on the ball. He's trying to link up with other players. I think second half he did lose the ball a few times, which is why I think he was kind of brought off. But Heresic, when he came on, I didn't really see much. I was like, well, you might as well have kept Velpato out there trying things at least. You know what I mean? What do you think? What was your opinion on his performance?
Oh, look, I think he's the best ball user that Australia's got. I mean, look, Australia doesn't have that South American flair like the Brazilians have. And I mean, he's not a Brazilian, I know. He's not Italian either. He's Australian. He's probably the closest we've got to someone who's just very creative with that ball. I think he was ultra creative in that first half, but I think he had a couple of great crosses in. He got into the box a few times and put the ball in dangerous areas where there was no Australians. Look, as you mentioned, he lit up the first half. I thought he was fantastic. He certainly wasn't as effective in that second half. Maybe that's a lack of match fitness. As I said, he hasn't played a full game this whole tournament. He only came on the halfway mark of that game against America. So maybe he just didn't quite have the legs in him. But what I saw, ultra impressive. I feel like he has to start next week. No matter who we play. I mean, look, that's a really exciting part now. Australia's locked in. We're off to Texas. The Green and Gold Army's going to celebrate tonight and then make their way to Dallas, where we don't know who our opponent is right now, but I think that we can beat any of the 4 that come up, which is going to be Egypt, Belgium, Iran, and New Zealand. I just feel like Australia's a definite chance of beating all 4 of them.
Yeah, I don't want to be the pessimist, and I like Australia, and I just thought when I was watching that second half, I said, you know what, defensively you guys are amazing. Defensively, you're gonna win the ball back. You're gonna move forward. I just don't think there's enough chances created going forward for me. When you're gonna progress to those later rounds, because it can't just be Geordie Boss trying to create something or Irankunda trying to create. It just felt like sometimes the attackers were too far apart, and I'm just worried about that in the next stage. Is it possible to win? Out of those teams, John, who would you rather have? Probably Iran or something. Right? I don't want to beat the bottom of the barrel or something, but
look, I think New Zealand would be the game that they've been very impressive this tournament, the Kiwis. They're actually impressive every time they get to the World Cup, but Australia's beat them several times. I think it was I'm not quite sure what the scoreline was, but we played them recently. We won. So, look, preferably I'd love to play New Zealand, but if we're going to play New Zealand, they'd have to upset.
Wouldn't that be like the brother and sister playing it? It's a lose-lose. You want to see this continent, you want New Zealand to go out and do it against someone else, and then maybe Aussies and New Zealand can celebrate together. If they play each other, then it's yeah. But again, it's a win-win, I guess.
I mean, look, I think the beauty is that we've avoided potentially a clash against France or Germany, right? So we've got a more winnable game. I mean, now, I know Belgium, they've had a glory era. They've got some fantastic players, but they're coming towards the end of that sort of glory period they've had. Egypt, in that same vein, Mo Salah's getting a bit older now. He's not as potent as he was. So while Egypt and Belgium were once these really great teams, I feel like they've dropped off a little bit. We're young. We're fresh. We're exciting. So I think that's
hungry.
A lot more winnable game than it would be against Germany and or France. But look, you said it before, and I agree with you. Australia's great defensively, but you need to score goals to win, all right? And I know that we're not creating as many chances as we did in that first half of football against Turkey. And I agree with you. I'd love to just see an all-out attacking mindset, but Popovic is not going to do that. He's too defensive. As much as I'd love to see it. So maybe when we go 1-0 down, if we go 1-0 down, not when we go 1-0 down, we get to see that. But so far it's been a case of trying to get through to the knockout stage. We're here now, so the fun begins, Olin.
Yeah, the fun does begin, and I just hope in the next game they try and play. They did try and play in this first half. Not saying they didn't do that, but I just want to see just more chances created. Do you think he goes with the same lineup? Because again, they technically got the draw, got us through. Does he go with the same lineup, or does he change one or two things? There's a few players on yellow cards there that could be at a disadvantage for you guys if you progress through the 16. So do you think he changes anything, or do you think he just keeps the same squad because they did a solid job and that kind of thing?
I think a lot of it comes down to the injury of Jacob Italiano. Now he's been a staple on that side so far. Yeah. He's been a great player in that back half. So I feel like we're not sure how bad his adductor injury is. Now, if it's good and he's great to go, well, I'm not sure who comes out for him. I mean, Aidan O'Neill played great today. Harrington was fantastic. Paul Ocon has been great so far this tournament. So I think that he probably just has to go with the starting lineup he had tonight. The question is, Mo Toure didn't come on today. I'm wondering if there's an injury that we're not aware of. I'm not quite sure why he wouldn't be a straight swap with Irankunda late there. But I think
Irankunda, yeah.
I mean, what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, no, you're right. I thought maybe Yengi, because he just thought last 5-10 minutes, chuck him on something different. Did get a chance there that Toure, if that fell to Toure, who knows? He could have put his foot through it, who knows? But yeah, it did feel like, man, you would still want to see. He's been featured in the first two games. You'd want to see him featured in the third game because he's been part of the squad, kind of thing. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see what it does. I don't think he should start with Irankunda as a 9 in the next game, if I'm being perfectly honest. I think he should play him somewhere else, and maybe someone else has to maybe a Metcalf, or someone else has to make room for Irankunda, and maybe get an out-and-out 9 who plays in that position to play there on the world stage. I think, I get he's trying to fit everyone in, but that's kind of where I would go, John.
Yeah, look, I agree with you. I'd love to see Mo Toure, Irankunda, Valpado there, and maybe it's Metcalf that misses out. But yeah, look, I think Tony Popovic came under a lot of fire for dropping our goal scorers on the bench. And I think maybe he won't do that again. It's a knockout game. I think it's a different mindset. So maybe not. Let's hope you're right, though. And let's hope that I'm right. And we get that team that we both want.
Let's get that win, man, John. So, well, thank you for joining us, John. We'll enjoy your time. You're heading off to Texas, and we'll see you at after the next Socceroos game. Hopefully, we're celebrating a W. Thank you so much for joining us again, John. Appreciate it.
Thanks, mate. Off to have a shoey for you, all right? Then I'll catch up next week.
Yes, please have one for me, mate.
See you guys.
So the Socceroos will either play Egypt, Iran, New Zealand, or Belgium next. Now, I want to know who you guys would rather play out of that. Because, I'm thinking Iran. You could just slap them about, maybe. You could get away with a 1-0 against Iran, a 1-2-0 against Iran. New Zealand, our beloved neighbours over there on that side. You got a lot of Kiwis in Australia. That one would go down all right because it'd feel like a win-win. Now, Egypt, Mohamed Salah could wake up and absolutely run ragged and rampant all over the Aussies. So I think you want to stay away from that. Belgium, dark horse. On paper, great team. Performing, not the best. So, out of those two, you kind of want Iran or New Zealand, but who knows? Belgium, I would probably take Belgium over Egypt because when Egypt get going, they're a one to be reckoned with. Now, if you win against any of those and you progress further, it could get easier, all right? Because Argentina will either play Spain, Cape Verde, Uruguay, or Saudi Arabia. So you guys could play either of those teams. Now, you remember what happened last World Cup when you played Argentina, Aussies? It was a great game. Out of those four, I would love to know in the comments. We're thinking way ahead here, but the path it doesn't seem to get easier for you Aussies. That's the only thing. We take every game as it comes, though. Now, during this World Cup, there has been 16 draws out of 48 games. That's about a third of draws. This is, if I'm going to talk about the only downside that I would see to international football, and I've heard it said before, is just that because it's such a big stage, because it's the world stage, a lot of managers, a lot of players, they're scared to lose. Like, you lose on the world stage and you take a drubbing, right? You go out there and you play expansive football. You play the Barca way. You play however you play for your club and you lose 3-0. It's like nobody in that country forgets that for the next 4 years. So I understand why they played defensive. But as a football fan, I'm not a huge fan of it. I say that while glorifying Australia for parking the bus and getting the 2-0 winner for Turkey. Completely hypocritical, but it doesn't matter when it's you. Like, I'm talking about Ghana, England. Do you know what I mean? Like, 0-0, they're part of the bus. There's a great defensive performance, but as a neutral fan, you're just like, you know what I mean? I'm going down the lines of, like, if you play longer than, I don't know, let's say 70 minutes, right? And your whole team is still, all 9 players are behind the halfway line, penalty for the other team. Do you know what I mean? Something like that. So a little tiny rule sprinkled in there that just forces people to play a bit. What do you guys think? I get people play for the draw, but sometimes I think it ruins football a bit. We want to see that expansive game. And in the World Cup 2022, there was only 10 draws. So, there's been more draws so far across the board, and we've not even reached quarterfinals or the round of 16 or, whatever. So that was just my thoughts. Let me know what you guys think in the comments as well. Thanks to iHeart sports reporter and our man John Bric over there in San Francisco enjoying the sun. We'll be back on Monday with post-match analysis on the final game of the group stage over the weekend, and also a debrief for Panama, England, and I'll be joined by former Socceroo and Premier League winner Robbie Slater. Can't wait for that one. Until then, keep the World Cup takes coming, keep the group chat alive, and we'll see you next time. And oh yeah, do the admin for me. Like, subscribe, wherever you get your podcasts. Just don't miss an episode. Next one's out Monday. Big thanks to Rode for backing us and making me sound a little bit more professional than I already am. See you Monday.